The Vampire Diaries Season 8, Episode 12, What Are You? Really enjoyed this episode. They definitely had an insane ending that I certainly wasn't expecting, but going through this one, I really love what they did with Matt. I think that was actually my favorite part, just because of his progression as a character throughout the entire series, where he's just that human character. He's always lived, whether it was just super random luck. In a lot of cases, it was actually magic back when he was actually wearing like the magical ring and stuff. But finding out, his actual ancestry within the town and stuff like that, and his connection to it, I really love that, and I like the way that they introduce it into this season. I like that it's so important. It's a great way to make him super relevant in the final season, because he's been relevant before, but he was always kind of relevant in the way where like he kind of helps here and there, and that's pretty much it. And now it's like he is pretty much the driving force. Like, it's his ancestors. He has to be, well, either him or his father in the other episode. One of them had to ring the bell. He's the one who's going into like these weird flashback coma things where in the beginning of the episode, excuse me, the beginning of the episode, he wakes up in the armory and he was like literally retracing Ethan's steps, his own ancestor. So I thought that was pretty cool. Simple way for them to bring Alaric back, which of course he's one of my favorite characters, so that was really great. They don't mention where the twins are. I was waiting for that, and it was just like, Alaric's back. They don't mention the girls or anything, like where they're staying or who they're with or some new random family member. Nothing like that. They're just safe somewhere, I guess, but Alaric returned, so I was fine with that. And he and Dorian end up helping Matt by putting him into the induced coma so that he can go through his actual ancestors' memories. And it was cool. We get to see Ethan, and we also get to see him with Bonnie's ancestor as well. And I feel like they only said her name one time, but they said Ethan's name like a bunch of times, so I remember that. Plus he's got the name of a video game character that I'm familiar with currently, so only reason I actually remembered his name. But I like that flashback portion, and we get to see both of them as they're working on the bell, and they talk about these nameless, faceless creatures and stuff like that. And then we actually get to see both Sybil and Celine in this flashback, and I thought that was cool. That really surprised me when they show up, and they actually try to help Cade by having the tuning fork. They actually add that to the bell, and I thought that was very interesting, where they talk about how they basically, like, that cast the spell to actually change everything, and that's what it was that pretty much made it an evil weapon, depending on how it was used, or in general, pretty much. Like, if it was used, it would pretty much kill anybody who was psychic, and then of course if it got to a certain amount of tolls, it would destroy the entire town. So I thought that was very interesting that it was Cade that actually made that happen. I just thought, I don't know, maybe that's why they made the bell in the first place. It kind of made sense a little bit, considering at the time it was like very different. It wasn't like, oh, there's like who knows how many people in this town. There's probably like 105 people in the entire town, and now it's like almost thousands of people. So it's very different. It's like wiping out a whole city is like one person stays behind and they kill like a couple of other people. Very different times. So I was thinking, like, I'm sure there's some way to justify that, just because of how crazy the show is with monsters and all that stuff. But then it's like, nope, Cade just basically cursed the tuning fork and is like, yeah, I'll just kill all you guys, and hellfire and all that good stuff. So I actually liked that portion. I thought it was pretty cool that he basically had them create the tuning fork to do that, so that he could have all these people within the town. And I love the sequence where the witches all band together and they stop the fire from actually wiping out the entire city, and they sacrifice themselves, which I thought was visually a very good shot. And it was surprising that they all died. I thought some of them would, because of course the fire does spread out a little, and they even showed them some of the witches on fire. They were still chanting. And I was like, okay, so they'll die, but there would be others around them. And it was like, nope, everybody was turned to ash. And I was like, oh crap, that was pretty intense. Like, they all just died right in front of these two characters. And then you still have Ethan, who's I guess sirened is still the actual term. So he's been sirened, and he's put under control of both Sybil and Celine to actually kill the one person that would stop him from kind of helping the sirens as well as Cade. So it was very interesting the way that worked out. We actually saw the creation of like the secret passageway and how that actually came to be. So I thought that was kind of cool that they threw that in there. And then of course we have Ethan saying like, I know how to kill the devil, and so of course he starts to write it down in the journal. And also they kind of hinted at it early on, but we find out that the actual answer is, well, the possible answer, it's not 100% guaranteed, but the possible answer is the sort of glass blade that was formed after Cade was killed. So I thought that was very interesting. I was like, okay, that, as you know, Damon actually put it, was a bit poetic, makes a lot of sense. But I guess that's all they got now, because of course Damon did his own thing, as he always does in this show. And like, he never, and that's the funny thing about Damon, like, I get that that's his character, but he doesn't even give stuff a chance. Like, he just goes for it and is like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time, even though I know the exact time that I have until, which is like until midnight. And he's like, you know, like, I don't have time for this. He doesn't listen to the story or anything like that. Because if he went in and, you know, they kind of sped it up instead of him having to get knocked out and all that crap, it probably would have been a little bit faster. But of course, you know, he goes in and he doesn't even let possibilities play out. He's just like, this is what I need to do to save my brother. That's it. There's no in between. It's just A and B, the beginning and the end. There's nothing in there where he's like, I'll give this a shot. I'll see how long it takes at least. It's just like, whatever. No. And, you know, he mentions like, where Cade mentions like he was cutting it close at the end of the episode anyway. So, you know, it's all arbitrary because of course they could have made it whatever, but it's just interesting. It's like, man, he just never even tries to let things play out. He's just rushing it so fast. He moves through all the good answers. But I was thinking, as things played out, I was hoping for sure. I was like, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I was going back and forth because I'm like, it's not really his character, but maybe he was at least somewhat thinking in this episode. This is a dude that is immortal, ripped his own heart out, set himself on fire. He's got to at least consider the option. So I was hoping maybe he read through the book, ripped out some pages, maybe he wrote something down, and we find out at the end that he did read through the entire book, or at least the ending of it, and so he has possibly the answer, because he doesn't know officially, because I'm assuming the actual answer would have been like coded and everything like that, so they don't have the official answer, but odds are that's going to work. And he was just fortunate that that was all it took. And, you know, I guess he just went, I'll just do it based off of memory. But I guess it wouldn't have mattered, because I was thinking, like, he could have taken pages out, but it's like, well, then Cade would have read his mind. But I'm like, Cade could have read his mind no matter what, and he would have known, which he should have done as a villain who can read minds. It's just smart to be like, did you read this? And then just read his mind and see what happens. And it's like, okay, I gotta burn this, and then I gotta burn you too, because these are two truths, or, you know, two halves of the whole truth. Burn the book, destroy you, done. But instead he's just like, sweet. And he just tosses it, and I'm like, okay, that was, you know, a really cool effect with the book being on fire. But I'm like, he didn't do any of the smart villain stuff where you just, your mind reader, just be like, hey, just random question. Did you happen to, like, check out the book? Getting the answers, something random. Possibilities, even. I mean, if he was wrong, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have let him go. But odds are he's right. And I'm just thinking, like, man, if he read his mind and did anything smart, Cade would have destroyed him. Because all he would have had to have done was just ask. But he didn't. And I'm just like, all right, well, they got the answer, possibly. And we'll see how all that stuff plays out. And it's like, well, this could work. We'll figure out what we're going to do. And then out of nowhere, Cade just walks around the corner like, hey, what if I got a better idea? And it's just like, where did he just come from? How did he even get through the passageway? That's what I hope they do. I mean, he's a siphon, so I just assume that that's all that happened. He just touched the ball and, you know, the spell just broke. But very interesting to see him come back. I forgot he was even alive, honestly. The last image I have of him is Damon when he, like, chops his head off. So I don't know what's happening right now. I don't remember him coming back after that, because if I remember right, the spell thing did happen before he got decapitated. He did that beforehand, but yeah, I don't know why he's alive. And that is how it happened, because that's why Bonnie was freaking out during that scene. She thought Damon left, and it was like, you know, I'm not going to let you die just to have Elena back right now. So that definitely happened, and the last thing was he got his head chopped off by Damon's hand in a very cool fashion. So I don't know how he's alive, but it gives me quite a bit of hope for the third story that was in this episode, which was Bonnie's storyline, where she's trying to figure out how to get through to Enzo because something is calling out to her, and she runs into her mom. Well, her mom actually goes to see her because she needs some help, and it was very interesting where she's like, there's something dark calling out to you. Like, Enzo didn't open that door, you did, but it's also not Enzo calling you, it's something else. And I would assume that that's just the darkness in general, and it could be Cade himself. I mean, considering his powers and stuff, he could still have a connection to what is now considered the other side, I guess. Because her mother mentions, like, the other side is gone, but technically it's not, because we've seen it, we saw, like, really early on this season where people end up in, on the other side, and then they just get, like, sucked away, and we still don't know where that leads to. I mentioned that, like, in the beginning of the season when they had the one character get killed off by Celine. I was like, maybe we'll see what happens to these characters, because they all fly off, but we know now that they specifically fly off to, like, Cade somewhere in the other world. So maybe we will still get to see it. Somehow Kai is here, so maybe that's a part of it. Who knows? They reference in the promo that he may or may not bring back Elena, which I think every character that's been in the show, pretty much all the main characters, are going to be in the final episode anyway. So I know Nina Dobrev is going to be in it. I believe, I don't know the actual actor's name who plays Enzo, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be in it. They're even kind of teasing it a little bit that something is there. It's not just complete, it's not just blank anymore like it used to be. And even in this episode, they talk about, Bonnie and her mother's magic being gone, but them having, or at least Bonnie having, like, this crazy psychic connection to something. So they're still teasing the possibility that she'll have magic. They also tease for like a half a second the whole thing when Maddie's like, Enzo will always be with you, and she touched the necklace. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. I'm like, it's still there. I don't know if she'll go that route of becoming a vampire or what they're going to do. They could still end up using the cure, because technically if they have a vial of vampire blood, which it doesn't have to be Enzo's, of course, they could use anyone's blood. There are a bunch of vampires they could use to, Stefan human again. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Like, I don't know if she's going to do that herself or if that's somehow going to be used to bring Enzo back. A lot of questions for what they may or may not do, because they're teasing something really weird with her, and it's like she doesn't officially have her powers, because it seemed like she did with the psychic wave thing, but it's not 100%. Like, she didn't instantly have her magic back in this episode, because that's what I was expecting. Like, okay, she's going to be the one to get her magic, and that's still possible for sure, because, excuse me, like I said, they had the big teaser in the last one where she does the, the big magical wave, and then in this one she still has this crazy connection, which she shouldn't have in general. Like, if she doesn't have her powers, there shouldn't be anything left, but she still has something there because she has, the sort of psychic side of being a witch. So there's something still there. I don't know exactly what they're teasing, but we only got a couple more episodes to, wait for it. But I thought that was really cool, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that, because there's something there. Like, I know they burned Enzo's body, which really sucked. I was like, alright, they're teasing that he might come back, and then, her mother is like, I had to burn the body because that's the only thing that's what was kind of drawing you in, whatever it was. So there's something there that I'm excited to learn. It's super random, but for those of you who watch the originals, didn't it just look like they were in the same greenhouse that they've been in for, like, all of the originals? I was like, I swear it feels like they just went down to New Orleans and just used the originals location for that. Which, it just made me laugh, because I was like, this looks like it's straight out of the originals. And it most likely was, because they're always in, like, that greenhouse area, and I'm like, that's totally from the originals. That has to be the same place. If not, they shouldn't have made a place that looks so similar, because it made me laugh. I was like, it just makes me feel like they left and went down south to New Orleans just to use that place. It was funny to me. But really like this episode. Stefan's side of things in this episode was interesting as well. Almost died, first day human, and he got stabbed straight in the stomach. And I was like, man, he's already almost dying in this one. So he ends up surviving. Of course, they try to, Caroline tries to use their blood on him, and that doesn't work because of the cure. It, makes the blood just gross, and he can't actually drink it. So that was interesting, but they do end up saving that woman, and he has to go through having these emotions and trying to figure out, how he continues on with his life as a human, as well as a boyfriend, a fiance, really, to Caroline, and them not having the same future that they initially planned. So it's really interesting seeing how they're gonna play around with this. But he's got the cure. That could still be what they end up using on Cade. We have Kai coming in. We have this blade that was created from Cade's death, so it could lead to his second death, I guess. Who knows? There's so many possibilities now, so many questions up in the air, but I'm definitely excited to see where we're headed. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And although I may have been forgetting something, I'm sure I am, I would love to know how you guys think Kai came back. Because, like I said, I'm pretty sure the last thing that they had with him was him getting decapitated. I could be wrong. There could have been something else there. And I feel like there was, but I just don't remember. That was only last season, and he certainly wasn't a big part of that. So maybe there was something where he came back again, and I just don't remember. That had to have been it, but whether this is him coming back at random or just, it is. He's back at random, and it's the last couple episodes. We'll see what happens. But I would love to know what you guys think about him returning to the show, and what his role is going to be, because he probably will end up bringing back Elena, because pretty much everybody's going to be in the end of the series. So we'll love to know what you guys think about that, and what you guys think about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.